guys, and welcome to another Escape Wheel watch review. Today we're looking at the newly released Pagani design PD1671. This is a homage to the Tudor Black Bay and the Tudor Black Bay 58 and the Tudor Pelagos and the Tudor 1926 models. So we're going to kind of get into all that throughout the review, but it's kind of a mishmash of some of Tudor's releases, and you can pick these up on AliExpress for $150. That's their normal retail price. They were just on sale. I could get my price down to like $110 or something like that. So for that price, the 110, I think it's a pretty good value. At 150, I mean, there's not a lot to complain about on this guy. So I guess I'll leave that up to you guys. I've obviously seen better value watches, but this one, it's not bad. Value-wise. So let's get into the review. First things first, we start with the dimensions. So this is a 42.2 millimeter. Yep, so the bezel is 42.2. Case thickness is 14.6. And the overall lug-to-lug is 49.9. And the lug width is 21 millimeters. So for 42 millimeter watch, it's really not bad lug to lug, and it's aided pretty good by the the female end links here. So yeah, it wears pretty good, I think. You can see the case finishing. You have a horizontal brushing on the side, and I've seen it mentioned before. It's a pretty coarse brushing, so you can really see it defined pretty well right here. I'm not sure why they did that. You got a really nice circular brushing on the tops of these lugs. You can see it nicely right here. Really fine brushing, and then you've got that coarse brushing on the side. So I don't know if that's a conscious decision that they made, or if it's just something they had to do to hit the price. I'm not sure. Kind of a weird choice, I think. The back side of the case, it's really nicely circular brushed. It has the Pagani design, water resistant 100 meter stainless steel. It's a nicely done case back, really easy to use with just the standard screw down little notches there. You do have a circular brushing on the bottom side of the case, and then you also have the model number right there, PD1671, etched into the edge of this. So yeah, really nicely done. Displays off that NH35. It's not a pretty movement, but it's still kind of cool to see. Then you do have this really nice chamfer that runs along the top edge of the lugs. Looks really good. There's not much curvature to the lugs at all. It sits pretty tall on the wrist, and yeah, I've had the Corju one, the Corju Black Bay, and I wasn't a fan of that one either. And this one sits a little bit better than that one. I'll give them that, but I'm still not a fan of this kind of slab sided. There's lots of material here, and I'm just not a big fan of that look. So, but it actually doesn't wear too bad. So I'm going to go outside right now and pop it on the wrist for you. All right, so here it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. You can see that it fits pretty good still. That 50 millimeter lug to lug is not bad for a 42 case, and you do have the female end link, so it drops right off the wrist, so it wears pretty nice for a 42 millimeter watch. You can see it does have some of that slab sidedness a little bit, but it fits pretty good on my wrist. Smaller wrist, it's still probably okay, but anything I'd say under 6 or 7 inches, I'd probably steer clear. Let's get it out into some sunlight. So here you can see in some direct sunlight, you do have a lot of glare off the crystal. It definitely needs some AR coating, but I mean, the blue color, it looks great. I just love the color on the aluminum bezel. Let's go back inside and finish up this review. So let's talk about the bezel. So we've got a all polished bezel, nice coin edge grip, really, plenty of grip, I think, even with the small sides on it. It's nice and grippy, no complaints there. You do have a anodized aluminum bezel insert, so this is something that's pretty new. I mean, not new, but different. Everyone's going to the ceramic glossy bezels, but this one kind of keeping to the Tudor look. They're using aluminum. So Really nice color on that bezel too. Everything's done really nicely. I don't have any problems with the printing on it or anything like that. Loom pip is centered nicely. Everything aligns pretty nicely. You can see it's a little bit off here, but you can kind of scooch it over a little bit to get it to align. So, but what about the bezel action, right? So this is a premium, quote unquote, Pagani. Bezel action should be pretty good, right? It is. It's a 60 click unidirectional. So you can see it's 5 clicks between markers. So it's not 120 clicks, which I'm kind of disappointed by. But when it's locked into place, it doesn't go anywhere. There's just a teeny tiny bit of wiggle up and down and side to side, but nothing that you really notice. It's pretty smooth bezel, nice and clicky sounds. Not getting any double clicks or anything like that. And like I said, just look at that. That's not great. It's almost a half a minute off, right? And that's where it's locked into place. So you kind of have to scooch it over just a hair, and it'll stay there. So yeah, not too happy with the alignment of it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the bezel on this thing. It could be better. The 1661 that I reviewed, I'll leave that link up here. The sub bezel is amazing, and I wouldn't change much about the bezel. So a little bit disappointed that that's not 120 click, but this one, it's satisfying to turn, I think. So yeah, it's not a bad bezel, which is good to see. So let's talk about the crystal on this. It's a single dome sapphire crystal. It does sit ever so slightly above the bezel insert. Looks really nice like that. I think that's how Tudor does it. Lots of distortion, as you can see there. It lacks AR coating, which is, I think, a big issue. It's a reflection magnet, and it does become a little distracting, so it could have used a couple coats of AR coating on the underside. I think that would really, really help it out. But at least it's a sapphire. It is a nice bubble dome, so I think it looks pretty cool, but yeah, it definitely needs a little bit of AR coating. And now let's talk about the dial on this thing. So I opted for the blue version. We'll get really nice and close in here, see if I can get it to focus for you. So you got that really cool waffle pattern. Looks really good. That's, I think, homaging kind of the Tudor 1926, I believe it is. It's kind of their dressy watch. It has a textured dial like this. Looks pretty cool. So you got the deep triangle at the 12 o'clock position. You've got the square indexes from the Tudor Pelagos at every other index position, and then 6 and 9 o'clock you have that elongated rectangle. Everything aligns really nicely. Everything's centered. Nothing's kind of cockeyed or anything like that. The date window at 3 o'clock, nicely centered in there. It's just a pretty simple chamfered edge leading into that date window. You do have Pagani design, and then automatic water resistant 100 meters at the 6 o'clock, and then you do have that Japan movement down at the 6 o'clock position. A traditional set of snowflake hands. Looks really good, perfectly sized for this. I did pop out the movement on this, and this is a 33 millimeter dial, so I'm pretty sure they had to make these hands custom. They weren't a parts bin thing, so kind of cool that they did that. And they could have been maybe just a hair longer. That could reach all the way out. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the handset and the size on this. And on this model, you do have white filled loom in the indexes and the hands. And I'm going to pop up a loom shot right now. So here's the PD1671 in the middle. You have the San Martin sub on the left and the regular Pagani design sub on the right. So it's a little bit better than the regular Pagani design, but it still can't match with the San Martins. And on this model, you have a unique bicolor loom pattern. It's applied fairly evenly, but there is a light spot on the hour hand. All the other models, you get green hands as well as the dial. So it's just this model with the unique bicolor loom. But overall, it's decent. Okay, so let's talk about the movement in this. So as you saw earlier, this is the Seiko NH35. It's operated by this 3 o'clock crown, which has this red ring around it on the blue model. Maybe they're going to change that, maybe they won't. I'm not really sure. It is just a pressure fit ring, so you might be able to pop that off. I don't know. I kind of looked at it and played with it a little bit last night, and I couldn't really easily get it off with the tools I had. So I just left it down there. It really doesn't bother me too much. You don't see the watch from this angle too much, so not really a big issue. You do have a sign crown at the 3 o'clock position, and everything works just as you would expect. It's a screw down crown. Nice and smooth screwing. Pagani's always done really nice on their crown threading. I've never had a problem with the crowns. Nice satisfying pop out from the NH35. It does hack, it does hand wind. It's the NH35, it's 6 ticks per second, 40-hour power reserve. It's like a $30 movement, so super easy to replace if anything goes wrong. This one's running pretty accurate at plus 7 seconds. So, you kind of know what to expect with the NH35. I've had no problems with this one. Let's talk about the bracelet on this. There's a lot to talk about. So let's first start. You do have solid end links, solid links, screw pins for adjusting right there. I had to remove 4 links for my 7 1/4 inch wrist. You do have female end links, which is nice to see. There's the solid end links, as you can see, but this allows it to, hang down just right off the wrist. It wears a lot better because of this bracelet, I think. And then the non-adjustable links are this rivet style, which I thought would be a little bit more pronounced, but I hardly even notice it. So if you don't like the look of it, I wouldn't let that deter you from buying this, because really they're not really noticeable. So let's talk about the clasp. The clasp is all new here, nicely done. You do have the Pagani design logo there, etched horizontally, nicely done. You got a double pusher here, which releases. Inside is fully milled, nicely done. It is a little bit stiff. You got to press pretty hard, and when you're doing it on the wrist, it's almost impossible to do. So I usually just depress the 2 buttons and close it, and then just give it a little yank and just make sure that it's actually latched. You do have 3 micro adjusts and no sharp edges. You can see they're all nicely rounded off, so it's a very comfortable clasp, and it's a very short clasp. I think the other one is probably an extra 10 to 15 millimeters longer, so it's kind of nice that they went with a smaller clasp. I'm actually really happy with it. The only thing I don't like about it is this diver's extension. Really cheaply made, stamped. It kind of rattles, and it's too long to use as a sweaty day extension, and I'm never going to wear this thing over a wetsuit. So this is pretty much worthless to me, and I think a lot of other people. So I wish they would have gone with just the easy link that they had on the previous models. So that's really one of my only complaints about it. Otherwise, it's really nicely done. So let's talk about quality control issues. I didn't have many. So the first thing first is that alignment. That's a definite quality control issue. I didn't have any problems with removing any links or anything like that. I do have a little bit of an issue on this one here, this link here. A little stiff, and it gets caught up on itself sometimes, as you can see right there. I'm not sure what's going on there. That is one of the links I removed, so maybe that's partially my fault. I don't know. That's really the only stiff place on the bracelet. So in this end link here, one of these rivets, let's see if I can get in there. I think it's this rivet over here. It's not fully seated, and it catches on the case here, and it makes it, it's actually not doing it right now, of course. But yeah, there you go. So it catches on the actual case and makes it so it doesn't flow as well. That's a very minor complaint, because it doesn't sit on the wrist like this for me. It sits like that on the wrist. So again, a very minor complaint. Other than that though, guys, this thing came in really clean. Very happy with it. Stiff clasp, maybe that's another quality control issue. But yeah, pretty happy overall with that. So there you have it. That's Pagani design PD1671, new release for 2021. Really nicely done, I think. If you guys are interested in picking this up, I'm going to be leaving a link down in the description. That's the store that I purchased it from. It's a Trendy Men's Watch store. I've purchased from them in the past. I've had no real problems with them. Really easy to work with. That is an affiliate link, and I really appreciate it when you use those links. It helps out the channel. If you are interested in more pictures of this thing, I'm going to be leaving my Instagram channel right here. Be sure to check that out. Might be throwing this on some straps. I don't have many 22 millimeter straps. I actually think it works really well on the bracelet, so it's probably going to spend most of its life on the bracelet. I'm possibly interested in selling this thing. It's just a little bit too big for my liking, so keep an eye out there. I'll post a listing for it there first, probably. So yeah, just keep an eye out. I still haven't made up my mind on this thing yet. If you guys want to leave a question or comment down below, be sure to. I'll definitely get back to you. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.